Hello and good morning, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in for another Sprinkler Talk session. My name's Andy and I work for Project Fire. We're based in Staffordshire and we sell we sell products into the automatic fire sprinkler industry. And I do these Sprinkler Talks every Thursday morning at 10 o'clock. This is episode 39 now. The other day I kind of had a little go at calculating how many hours of a Sprinkler Talk has been going on. And we're up to around 20 hours. I'm looking forward to getting to 24 hours of content. For me, that would be quite a good kind of milestone to recognise that I've basically been talking on Sprinkler Talk for a whole day, a whole 24-hour period. But like I said, that will be in a few weeks' time when I hit that milestone. So today is looking at the latest sprinkler news. So I like to kind of put these ones in every now and then into the series, so we can have a look at some of the changes that have been made to sprinkler codes or interesting kind of building code standards, etc. Any products that are kind of new on the market. And also sprinkler saves. I like to look at sprinkler saves that have happened in the last few weeks of the history, at least. So let's move on and start the presentation. So I'm starting with a sprinkler save. I like to do that wherever I can. I did find this one from 30th of January this year. I don't have a great deal of information. It didn't seem to make sort of too many different news outlets, but I did find this one from the Knutsford Guardian, which is a nursing home in Cheshire. So the fire happened around 5:30 p.m. Staff and fire crews alerted due to an automatic alarm, an automatic call-out. And a familiar story. Fire and rescue service arrived on the scene. Everyone's okay, and the sprinkler system had already extinguished the fire within the room of origin. So I don't have any more information as far as how many heads operated or what the cause of the fire was, but it sounds like a good news story anyway. That say everyone was fine, and the sprinklers did their job, or did more than their job, should I say, and extinguished the fire completely. This is something that struck me of interest. This is taken from the BAFSA Focus magazine. So BAFSA produce a magazine. It's around sort of quarterly. So this one is the latest episode, even though it's from November last year. They had a couple of very nice diagrams, which I didn't sort of copy and paste into here, because I didn't have the relevant permissions, but also because when I sort of enlarged them to go on the screen, they became a bit grainy. So I made my own versions of the diagrams, which are on the screen here. Apologies for the noise in the background. I'm going to close the door. This diagram here is showing the limit for warehouses. Janet, you do me a favour, close that door. The noise is coming through. So, this is showing that the limits for warehouses in parts of Europe. So in England and Wales, a warehouse needs to get to 20,000 square metres in order for it to be sort of legislated to have sprinklers fitted. So basically, we're at the wrong end of this scale. England and Wales, we're right at the very largest. So, obviously, there's nothing to stop the building owner putting sprinklers in for warehouses that are smaller than that figure. Well, this is the maximum size you can get to before sprinklers have to be installed. So Scotland is slightly better, but we're still way behind the rest of Europe. Say Norway, Netherlands, Germany, that they are significantly smaller. I mean, a lot smaller. Sort of maybe one or 2,000 square meters. So ours is like 10 times as big before sprinklers are a requirement. So that's That's quite interesting, isn't it, that we're so far sort of out of proportion with the rest of Europe in terms of warehouses. But then the other diagram is this one, and this is looking at kind of high-rise residential, where actually we're at totally the other end of the scale. So here, England, we're now at 11 metres, which we've talked about in previous episodes. Recently that's come down from 30 metres to 11. So other countries like Sweden and Germany, Spain, for example, they're a lot higher. France is 200 metres. Yes, there can't be many residential buildings that are 200 metres tall. So I guess they don't have a lot of sprinklers in their high-rise buildings. So I'd say that's taken from the BAFTA Focus magazine. So you might be wondering, where is Wales and where is Scotland? Well, Wales, as we know, is basically zero. So Wales are sprinkler protecting all of their residential buildings and domestic dwellings, etc. So they're where they are on the graph is basically zero on the floor. Scotland, of course, were 18 metres. So for a brief period of time, England were sort of ahead of Scotland as far as having the lower limit for residential, but that isn't going to be for long because the Scottish regulations are changing. Obviously, this was agreed some time ago, but that's coming into place very shortly. So the 1st of March 2021 are going to basically, again, bring that level down to effectively zero. So all new build, social homes, flats, shared, multi-occupied residential buildings will be fitted with automatic fire suppression systems. It was 18 metres, but from the 1st of March, it's going to be basically zero. So Scotland are going to kind of jump ahead of us again and be with Wales as far as having that lower limit. So this is, again, something that I'm not overly kind of familiar with, but it is something that I know that, as Project Fire, we need to be aware of this. So I think the same could be said for a lot of other people within the fire safety industry. We've got to be aware of this change from CE and UKCA marking. So CE is a very familiar mark to do with safety, conformity, often seen on electrical equipment, the CE marking. So that means that any European laboratory could kind of issue a certificate. You could even issue your own certificate. You could sort of self-certify that it is conforming to the relevant standards, and then you can print the CE mark on it. UKCA is, it's currently out there as far as the building sector goes. But really what was going to happen as regards Brexit is switching from CE to UKCA. But I guess it depends on where you want to sell your goods into. If you want to sell them into the UK, then you would now be looking at the UKCA mark. If you wanted to sell them into Europe, I'm guessing, so I'm not an expert on it, I'm guessing you would still want that CE mark as well. So really what I'm saying is that this is something that you need to have a look into. Certainly if you're in that kind of sector, you should be investigating what changes this means, because from what I'm reading, this is the end of 2021, so the end of this year, then these changes will come into effect. So you can see I've given a little quote there from the European Sprinkler Network, the ESN, who are kind of looking into this. So there's an article on their website you can have a look at to have more detail. I've kind of summarised it in these 3 bullet points here, where they're saying that CE marking now can only be done in EU accredited laboratories, so you can't have a UK laboratory issuing a CE approval. The UK will continue to accept CE marks until the end of 2021, and then after that we're going to harmonise standards and carry the UKCA mark instead. So Project Fire, we've got products which are CE marked, like our key switches, which we use for our zone check products. So yeah, we need to be on the ball with this, and say I'm sure the same can be said for many of you watching. So yeah, have a look out for that. Moving on. School fires, 3 in 1 weekend. This is another article by the European Sprinkler Network. So this happened over the weekend of the 22nd of January. So first of all, at 4:45, firefighters called to a fire at St Marcia Goretti Primary School in Cranhill, so it's sort of East Glasgow kind of area. Then the next day, we're off to Yorkshire, at Islamic Girls' School in Bradford at 8:15. And then finally, on the 23rd of January, we have a fire crews in Devon, called to King Edward VI Community College in Totnes. So yeah, I don't know all the details for these fires. I mean, they're mostly going to be empty, I guess, although, of course, key worker children are going to be in the school. But yeah, I'd say I don't have a great deal of detail on them. Obviously, that those times are either just after school's finished or just before they're going to start. So I don't think any children would have been on site at the time. But yeah, it is very worrying to have those 3 school fires in 1 weekend. So just a reminder, in Scotland and Wales, they will be sprinkler protecting all of their new schools. In England, that wouldn't be a requirement unless a risk assessment specifically kind of identifies a risk and calls for it. So that's something that is actually addressed in my next story here, which is Zurich Municipal Insurance Group are calling for sprinklers to be installed in all schools. And they've done this study here, which again I've taken from the Zurich website, which is saying that in 2019, 480 fires at primary and secondary schools in the UK, a staggering 40 incidents every month. Now, obviously, the majority of these are going to be very small incidents, but yeah, of course, it doesn't take a lot of fire in order for the fire and rescue service to be called to a school. I mean, that's kind of the belt and braces kind of attitude to having fires in schools. But yeah, I imagine a lot of them are going to be quite small incidents. But even so, that's certainly more than I was expecting. And they've said here, as a result, almost 20,000 school children have had their education impacted or have been displaced from their usual school building over the same period. Now, I guess, back in 2019, this would be, bigger news than it is now, because, of course, with COVID, there's been so much disruption to school education that rather kind of puts this very much into perspective. However, of course, any disruption is going to be bad news. And once we're all back, I'm a parent. I'm looking forward to my kids going back to school. Once they are back at school, of course, we do want to protect them. So there is this petition, which I've got. There's a link on the screen there for you to sign up to ask the government to legally require sprinklers in all schools. So yeah, it'd be good to add a few names to that. I think for me personally, I think schools are very safe buildings, generally speaking. They're quite they're low-rise buildings often. Quite wide hallways, lots of fire escapes, lots of means of escape from the building. So in many ways they are extremely safe. But say the amount of fires that we get in schools is very high. So from a property protection point of view, and from a like I say, a business disruption point of view, or certainly a community and education disruption point of view, I think that's a positive move. Finally, a little bit of news from Project Fire. So we are launching a virtual academy, and that's taking place next month towards the end of March. So in the past, we have had consultants junior consultants. That's who we've been targeting really. Consultants that are working at major firms, but are sort of fairly new, public health, fire engineers, that sort of person could come to Project Fire to our site, say in Staffordshire. We do some training. We've obviously got a sprinkler system here, which consultants kind of can play with. Sort of get the idea of actually opening valves and running water, testing various services, etc. Of course, we haven't been able to do that of late because of lockdown restrictions and travel restrictions. So we're actually taking it online. We'll be launching that at the end of March. It is, we are going to be sending out invites. If that's something that you're particularly interested in, or you know of people that may be interested, then do get in touch, and we can look at that. But yeah, just letting you know that is taking place. Once that's taken place, I'll probably share some photos and things of what we've been doing. Okay, and that's it for today. Next week we'll be looking at approval bodies and schemes. In terms of approving products, approving sprinkler companies, approving sprinkler installations and kind of sign-ups and certificates, we'll be looking at all of that. Again, it's one of those subjects that when I actually come to write the presentation, I might find that there's too much information and I might split it into two. But we'll try and do it all in one go. But as I say, we will see how that goes. So yeah, thanks again for tuning in. Just a reminder of the email address to contact me is sprinklertalk@projectfire.co.uk. Very happy to take your questions and suggestions for future presentations. And yeah, as always, pop any questions you have in the chat, and I'll look at addressing those. Okay, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.